What's good, YouTube? This is Boxingwave, and I just want to give you a quick recap of the entire Day of Reckoning card. Probably the best card of the year. Definitely worth the pay per view. Um, a lot of upsets tonight. It just what an amazing card, and just want to shout out to everyone that was here on the live commentary. We did over 8 hours. Everyone that donated, liked the video, all the new subscribers, anyone that supported me in any way, I just want to thank you and appreciate all of you for that. Also, I want to wish you guys happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever it is that you celebrate. I appreciate you guys. And I just want to give happy birthday to my mom, whose birthday is this weekend as well. All right, so I'm just gonna run through the fights and just talk about the card overall. I will. The post fight interviews haven't started yet, or they haven't shown it yet, so I'm still gonna do more content on this card. There's a lot to talk about, but I just wanted to give you my thoughts right after the actual card. All right, the card started with Frank Sanchez fighting Junior Fa. Mind you, there wasn't much delay in between fights. I think certain fights there was a delay, but I think the card itself was paced very good. All right, I didn't feel like I had to wait. This is the longest I've ever been on live before. I was on live for 8 hours, and I really honestly didn't feel tired or bored at any point. Um, anyway, first fight, Frank Sanchez against Junior Fa. I thought Frank was just overall doing the better boxing, landing the bigger shots. Junior Fa, landed some jabs. He was basically just trying to maintain distance. And there was a period in the sixth round where I thought he was having a good round. He started to be a little bit more aggressive, and he did land a few shots. And there was a point where I kind of called it. Frank Sanchez looked like he was against the ropes, and he was pretty much setting up Junior Fa with a big right hand. Hurt him with a big right hand in the sixth round, and then he went into the seventh round and basically stopped Junior Fa, knocked him down a couple of times, and the ref waved the fight off. Frank Sanchez, one of those guys that I just want to see him face one of the top contenders or one of the guys on the come up. Whether it's Jared Anderson, uh, Philip Hergovich is cool. Cabello, who also won tonight. Uh, I want to see Frank Sanchez fight a top contender, but maybe not a championship level guy, but a top contender or a guy that's on the come up. And that's all I want at this point. Junior Fa really hasn't done anything in his career. I mean, his claim to fame was really just being a rival to Joseph Parker in the amateurs. And at this point, I just can't see him being anything other than a journeyman. But Frank Sanchez looked good. Loved the knockout. I love the boxing. Just looked good overall in the seven rounder. And let's move on to the next fight. All right, the next fight after that was Philip Hergovich against Mark Deore. I think this is the only disgraceful fight on the entire card. The card was good all the way through, but this is the only fight that I don't believe should have been on the card simply because Mark Deore is just not on a level to be on this card or anywhere near it. And I pretty much called that before the fight. I did get a chance to check him out a little bit before the fight. I noticed that he has a lot of knockouts, but if you look at the resume, if you look at the opponents, they all have losing records. And I just felt that Hergovich was going to stop him early, especially because of the trash talking that Mark Deore was doing. He's saying he was going to come at him, he was going to break him, and he was saying all of this stuff. And then he kind of doubled back when Philip Hergovich responded to him and said that he was going to punish him. And to be honest, I think Philip took it really easy. But as soon as he started landing right hands, this guy turned his back and he just couldn't take the power. He was in there for a check and an opportunity. He got stopped in an embarrassing fashion in the first round. It was the worst matchup on this card. When a guy is ranked 370 something in BoxRec, even with 42 knockouts and 36 wins, you have to question why he's ranked so high. And I'm not a BoxRec warrior, but when you're ranked that far as a heavyweight, there's a reason behind it. And if you look at his opponents, they all have poor records. Guys with like 5 wins and 36 losses and something crazy like that. So at the end of the day, Philip Hergovich, he's too good to be fighting guys like this on this level. I mean, this guy's way below him and anyone else on this card. All right, so Philip Hergovich knocked him out in the first round, and he is the mandatory for the IBF strap. He's the ranked number one ranked fighter, and he's looking for his opportunity after Usyk and Tyson Fury. So we'll see. We'll talk more about that later. All right, next fight up, we had Jai Opai. He fought Alex Zaro. Again, another opponent, Ellis. I wasn't really that familiar with him before the fight. Jai Opai came out. It was a good technical fight for the most part in the first round. Then out of nowhere, Jai hit him with a big left hand, and this guy fell back, knockout on the night, laid him straight out. I mean, this guy was head was laying against the ropes. He was looking up straight into the air. Zaro got knocked out in the first round and one of the better, probably top 10 knockouts of the year. Laid him flat out. Zaro was okay. He was up. He was smiling after the fight. Just waiting for Jai Opai to hopefully get another title shot. I don't think all the top fighters in the division is gonna fight him. I think they're probably gonna avoid him, especially now that he vacated his IBF strap. He basically vacated that title in order to be on this card. And even though I think it was a good idea to be on this card, I just think that vacating the title is gonna give people more of a reason to not fight you because now you don't even have a title. Everybody's gonna go towards the other champions, and I think people is just gonna avoid Opai. Hopefully, Matchroom can work something out with their fighters and try to offer some of these other fighters a good amount of money where they'll take this fight. But Jai Opai, getting the opportunity to fight for this card is probably gonna open doors for him to fight in Saudi Arabia again. So maybe it is a win in the future. All right, so we just gotta wait and see. But definitely knockout of the night. And then the last fight on the preliminary fights before the bigger fights, I would say, is Arslanbek Makhmudov against Adji Cabello. Another fight that I regret my final prediction video because I was again leaning towards Cabello. I wanted this guy to be the upset, but I told you guys that at the end of it, again, this is what happens when you overanalyze. Arslanbek got exposed, and he got outboxed, outworked, and stopped. Makhmudov didn't really have much success. I think I might have given him the second round, but Adji Cabello just outboxed him. Makhmudov, Arslanbek, let me just keep it Arslanbek. Arslanbek never was really that aggressive from the opening bell. He tried to come out and box, started to jab, try to use right hands and keep distance, but he's just not good as a boxer. He's just not good at that. Adji Cabello used his movement early, and after the first couple of rounds, he started to come forward and attack Makhmudov's body, Arslanbek's body, and he was just outworking him, outboxing him, dropped him with a body shot. Arslanbek was forced to take a knee, went into the fourth round. Cabello applied the pressure, kept the pressure going, and he basically stopped him in the fourth round very, very easily without much damage. Arslanbek at no point in this fight was aggressive. He was getting outboxed, and then he was getting bullied and outworked. And pretty much the guy is just too easy to hit, he doesn't move his head. I mean, he's just like a statue, and just he got exposed, and he was very aggressive before the fight, walking over to Cabello's side of the ring prior to the fight while they were still doing the announcements, trying to be, intimidating, and he basically got exposed in this fight, Going to the next fight, we had one of the best fights, the best matchups outside of Makhmudov and Cabello, Gerald Miller against Daniel Dubal. What a fight. Both of these guys, man, went to war for 12 or 10 rounds. Daniel Dubal, though, looked sharp. One thing about Daniel Dubal is I have to give him credit. He moved a lot. He used the ring, and he kept his cardio up. There was a period where he did slow down, and it started to look like the fight was changing into the favor of Gerald Miller. But Daniel Dubal was able to catch a second win and win the second half of the fight. I think he won every round in the second half of the fight. I think I gave Gerald Miller 2 rounds in the first half of the fight. And after that, Triple D just took off and won, used his legs. And towards the last 3 rounds, he just really took over because Miller was tired. Miller's best round was the 4th round. I knew Miller was going to come out just using defense and trying to get Daniel Dubal had to slow down and tire himself out, which it looked like was happening. The first couple of rounds, Triple D was putting a lot of punches together, putting a lot of power behind his punches. He was catching Gerald Miller a little bit, in between, the exchanges and catching him around the guard and through the guard. He was going to the body. I mean, he seemed to be doing everything right, but it seemed like after the third round, he started to tire out a bit because Miller was just closing the gap between them and just keeping the pressure on him. And even though Miller wasn't throwing many punches, it just looked like Triple D started to tire out. Then the fourth round came where Triple D just kind of started to fade and Miller started to take over. And it looked like the fight was going to go in a different direction at that point. I want to say the fifth, sixth, and maybe seventh rounds, both of them were really, really tired. I mean, there was a period where both of them were kind of leaning towards each other and they were just tired out. And at that point, I didn't know where to really go because it looked like Triple D, I was giving him the rounds because he was doing more work and he was more consistent and accurate. But it looked like he was still tired, where Miller was just tired overall. So it was a lot of back and forth between the two. But I want to say the championship rounds and this 10-round fight, Triple D started to get the energy back. He was landing bigger shots where Miller just completely faded and it looked like he was surviving. I said early in the ninth round, it looks like it's possible for Triple D to get a stoppage if he puts on a show in the ninth and 10th, and he did. He closed out the 10th round, destroying Gerald Miller, had him on the ropes. Miller did not respond. It looked like he couldn't even raise his arms anymore after the ninth round, and he stopped him. It was a legitimate stoppage. I think there was still a little time left on the clock, but I think it was a good stoppage. It was no responses from Miller, and Triple D went on a crazy onslaught. Good for him. Probably in most people's eyes, the most satisfying win, that you can have recently. It was a lot of trash talkers on this card, and two of them got stopped. Arslan Beck got stopped. Miller got stopped. And great win for Triple D. He's been through it, had two tough losses. Everybody ruled him out, called him a quitter. I didn't even think that this was a good idea for Frank Warren to put on this kind of fight. But he did his thing, and I give him a lot of credit. And he's back in the mix. Just like that, he's back in the mix. All right, but we'll talk more about that in the future. All right, next fight up, Dimitri Bivol against Lyndon Arthur. Man, I mean, this was a boxing masterclass. I mean, Dimitri Bivol was a favorite. We already know he's already one of the top pound-for-pound fighters, so it's good to get him back in the ring after over a year of inactivity. Lyndon Arthur got the call last minute. I know he didn't have much time to prepare, but at the end of the day, Dimitri Bivol was just too much. I gave him every round. He won 120, 107. He was able to drop Lyndon Arthur in one of the rounds. I can't remember. It was from a body shot. I think the only complaint that I have with Bivol, and most of the people were just mad that it went to the decision because Bivol couldn't get him out of here. But Bivol was landing all the right shots. I just wish that Bivol went to the body a little bit more. I think at the time he dropped Lyndon Arthur, it was from a body shot, and I was like yelling at the TV like, yo, give us more body shots, and he did that. But outside of that, Dimitri Bivol had a great performance. He looked good throughout the entire fight. He applied pressure as early as the first round. He didn't look rusty at all. The defense was on point. The hand speed was on point. The combinations was on point. The perfectly placed punches. I mean, he's brilliant as a boxer. I love watching him box. I wish we got a stoppage here because Lyndon Arthur really didn't have much to offer here. But, I mean, the dude's a tough dude. What can I say? He's tough and he survived, and it is what it is. Hopefully we get the winner of Better BF and Callum Smith in 2024 in Saudi Arabia. Hopefully we get that for Undisputed. But even if it's not for Undisputed, I just want the fight. The winner of that fight, hopefully, is next. All right? Moving on. One of the biggest upsets here, Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker, in many people's eyes, just shut Deontay Wilder out. Wilder just couldn't get the timing right and couldn't land the right hand at all. Wilder comes out, starts a fight, doing a lot of lateral movement, a lot. He went about a good 6 rounds or so, just moving around the ring. Joseph Parker too fast. This is the fastest. This reminds me of Joseph Parker, like old prime Joseph Parker with the super fast hands and the super fast feet as well. I mean, that's one thing. He had always had quick hands, but the way, even though Wilder was moving a lot, it was just surprising to see how fast Joseph Parker was able to close the gap in on Wilder and just time the overhand right and the lead left hook. And it was just a masterclass performance from Joseph Parker simply because we know Wilder is not the most technically sound fighter. You know, we know that he can be outboxed. But Joseph Parker defensively just got out of the way of all of the right hands. All of the right hands. He ducked underneath all the right hands with ease, even easier than Tyson Fury. He made it look easy. He blocked all the right hands. Defensively, Joseph Parker got to get credit. I know everybody's going to say Wilder's old. He's inactive. I get that. But you have to give Joseph Parker credit. I have to give because I picked it wrong as well. I thought Wilder at some point, even if he was being outboxed, I thought at some point Wilder would land the big right hand and hurt Parker and get him out of there. I was completely wrong. Joseph Parker ducked underneath all those right hands. He blocked all the right hands. He saw him coming every single time. And Wilder just had no other weapons. He had nothing else. He didn't have the jab. Over Parker's jab was sharper. Parker's timing was sharper. He was quicker. It was everything overall was better. I mean, Parker made it look so easy. And we've seen Wilder down on points, down on rounds. We saw Luis Ortiz beating him every round before he got knocked out in the rematch. We saw guys like Jared Washington and Arthur Spilka. We've seen even Tyson Fury outboxing Wilder for a certain amount of rounds. But Wilder always found a time and a place to land that right hand. And he just couldn't do it against Joseph Parker. Parker displayed the best defense against Deontay Wilder up to this point. And I know Wilder was rusty, and I know he couldn't get the timing down. And there were periods where he did land the right hand a few times, but Parker, for the most part, avoided that right hand while still being the aggressor in the fight. It's one thing to run and move and avoid the right hand, but he was avoiding it while still being the aggressor. And you got to give him a lot of credit for that. So great performance from Joseph Parker. I'm definitely going to make more content on this. We definitely got to talk about Deontay Wilder in his future and more. But great for Joseph Parker, you know, and we'll talk more about Wilder later. And a final fight, Anthony Joshua against Otto Wallin, in a night full of upsets. Anthony Joshua were able to dispatch of Otto Wallin after the fifth round. Fifth round, Otto Wallin didn't come out in his corner. Right away, Anthony Joshua was landing big right hands to the body, timing the right hand, the straight right hand up top. Otto Wallin did not win a round, and in every single round he took more damage from the previous round. The only thing that I think was missing outside of Wallin and his overall ability was the movement. Wallin actually stood in front of him and actually tried to make Anthony Joshua back up at points, and it just didn't work out for him. You know, it's just basically while Joshua against Charles Martin again, without the without the earlier stoppage. I gotta give him credit. He took a lot of big, heavy punches, but every round he took more damage. You started seeing redness in the nose, then you started seeing like a cut, and then you saw the blood on his nose. Every single round he took more and more damage. Anthony Joshua, probably the best performance we've seen on, the most dominating performance that we've seen him in a long, long time. And I just think Otto Wallin just was outclassed. He wasn't in his league. You know, I know he had some good fights recently, and he had, gave Fury some trouble, but Anthony Joshua and his style was just all wrong for him. Anthony Joshua made it very, very easy. Made it look very, very easy. And that was it, with a night full of upsets, I started wondering about Joshua going into that fight, but I mean, Joshua looked great, So anyway, definitely going to talk more about this card and individually. I definitely want to see the post-fight reviews, post-fight interviews with all of the fighters. Again, thank you for everyone that joined us today. I'm going to make individual videos about these fights. Inoue is going to be fighting for Undisputed in a few days, the day after Christmas. I know I haven't done a breakdown yet. I just haven't had time because it's been so much stuff going on with boxing. I haven't had time to do the film study, but Hopefully I'll be able to cover the fight live for you guys, and we'll be talking about that soon. All right, but please subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up, leave comments, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.